to start out with music. We're going to start out by singing, or rather, sort of. I get to sing because I'm in a nice plexiglass box, and Lily's going to get to chant and sing from her plexiglass box. Sadly, the rest of us are not allowed to sing. However, there is a solution to this, and the solution to that is that we have other things that we can do to make music and be present on this day. We can hum. Humming is really fun and it's really good. So you can hum along with anything that I'm doing. We can clap hands, we can stomp feet, we can even smile through our masks, and I can see if you are smiling. I know that it looks like we can only see each other's eyes, but smiling happens with our eyes as well, so that we can do to be present on this day. So we're gonna join together on page 188 with Hine Ma Tov. How incredibly good it is to be here together. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov, ya la la, ya la 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 la. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shabbat Shalom.
What a beautiful afternoon to celebrate Shabbat. Every chance we get to experience this rest, to experience this Shabbat joy is so special. And it's really only heightened by the fact that we also get to celebrate Lily and the way that she's coming into her own as a Jewish adult, with all of the ways she is going to show that before this loving community, the way she leads us in prayer, reads Torah and Haftarah, and teaches us some wisdom from our tradition. This is an exciting day for you, Lily, if nothing else, because, you get to put it in the rearview mirror in a second. But it's also an exciting day for your parents, and I'll tell you why. Because traditionally, when a bar bat mitzvah came up to read Torah, the parents would offer a special mishaberach, a special blessing that said, "Thank you, God, I am no longer responsible for this one. All of the wonderful things that you do are now on your shoulders. And any of the mess-ups, they're also part of you. They're also part of everything that you bring into this world." We're so excited to mark this moment and the journey of you becoming an adult in our tradition. And so as we mark that transition by giving you the talit, by wrapping yourself in the talit, we'd like to invite you and your parents forward. In addition to, I know some of your grandparents have some words of love and support for you.
He's big.
Yes.
And from our grandparents on Zoom. Oh.
Lily,
As you stand here today, ready to become a bat mitzvah, the phrase, "You've come a long way, baby," has great significance. The first female to become a bat mitzvah in the United States was in 1922, 98 years ago. And 60 years ago this month, on October the 28th, I became a bat mitzvah, borrowing Papa Clarence's tallis because girls yet had not received their own. But by 1987, when your mother became a bat mitzvah, she was able to select her own tallis, given to her by your great-grandma Nana Shirley, and in memory of Papa Clarence.
Lily, and now today, in respect for this family tradition, we are giving you your first tallis. We hope and pray that the handing down of this tallis tradition will be carried on by you when you have grandchildren. We love you and are so proud of the wonderful young woman you have become. Mazel tov.
Lily, from the day you were born, you have been a double blessing. You're our first granddaughter, and you were born on my birthday. Of all of my birthday gifts, you were the best gift I ever received. I would also like to point out my Hebrew name is Natan, and it means in English gift. I think you really are a special gift because everyone loves you, your parents, your brothers, and everyone who knows you realize that you are a gift.
Lily, clearly this talit comes with it with so much love and devotion. So at this moment, I'd like you to recite the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef bat tzitzi.
Amen. Lily, as you say goodbye to your parents, I'd like to invite you to share the words of the bat mitzvah prayer, these words of intention that will bring us into this holy Shabbat.
God, be with me on this occasion of my bat mitzvah. Help me make this covenant meaningful in my life. Fill me with a sense of holiness. Inspire me to be special. I do not ask that you make my life easy, resolve all my problems, map out the directions of my life. I ask only for the strength to mold and shape my life according to my Jewish values and tradition. In this time of my bat mitzvah, I ask for blessings upon my family, my teachers, and my friends. You have loved and cared for me, and helped me get to this time of celebration, and I am grateful. As I am wrapped in this talit for the first time, may I remember all those who have come before me and whose history I can now call my own.
You mentioned gratitude in that prayer, Lily, and we are all so grateful. If we are having a hard time finding gratitude at any time, all we have to do is look at you, and we all become grateful. So we're going to say a bunch of prayers now that help us to focus on that gratitude. I know that all of us have felt moments where we have been grateful in the last week. We might not have always taken the time to put those things into words. And our tradition teaches us that words are so vital in creating worlds. And so we're going to do that now on page 198. Lily, I'm going to ask you to scoot the microphone just a little closer to yourself there so we can hear you fully. A little more. A little more. There you go. And Lily is going to lead us in the blessing, each of these blessings, which starts with the first 6 words in Hebrew, Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, and then it continues with the second line in English. Take it away, Lily.
Okay, so Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who made me in the image of God.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength.
Amen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor.
Amen. Page 344, and I'll ask you to please rise.
Adonai sefatev tifta ufia gita hilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise.
Page 346.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rahel, v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanara, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, V'Konei HaKol, V'Soher Hase'evot V'Yemahot, Umevi Ge'ula Livnei V'Hem, Laman Shemo Ba'achava, Melech Chazer Umashiach Umagen, Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah.
Page 348.
Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai Mehayeh HaKol Atah Rab Lehoshia Mashiv Haruch Umared Hagashem Mehakel Hayim Behesed Mehayeh HaKol Berachami Rabim Somech Nofim Rofei Holim Umatir Asirim Umakayem Emunato Lishnei Ne Afar Miha Mocha Ba'u Givarot Umido Melach Melech Mamit Umahaye Umatzmiya Yeshua V'ne'eman etal hayotako Baruch atah Adonai Mehaye HaKol.
We take these next moments for the prayers that are inside of our own hearts. We can follow along in the prayer book all the way through page 361, or just close the book and offer up those prayers that are our own. We take those few moments, and when you feel that your prayer has been finished, you can be seated. Page 360.
Shabbat Shalom. Our Torah portion this week is well, as I said to Lily, it's a doozy. It really is a grab bag of all kinds of different stories that range throughout the life of Avraham, our first patriarch, and the trials and tribulations he gets into as he makes the journey throughout the land of Israel. He goes down to Egypt, he comes back. This is truly a story, a Torah portion, of being called. Now, what does it mean to be called? This is not something that's just reserved for people who are people of faith, people in the clergy who often you hear receive a call. But I'm sure that many of us here have received a calling of sorts, a calling to an occupation, a calling to be a person different than we were before. Maybe it was a tough choice that you made, that you found yourself on the horns of a dilemma, and you couldn't choose, you couldn't decide which way you wanted to go. And our Torah portion puts this language, this difficulty of what it means to be chosen, in the language that God shares with Abraham. He says, Avram, and remember, Avram doesn't live in Israel at this point. He lives somewhere else, north in Syria. And God asks him to put everything he knew, to put it aside, and to come to Israel. God says, Lech lecha, go forth, me artzacha, mi moladetcha, mi beit avicha, el eretz asher areka. You shall go forth from your land, from your birthplace, from your father's house, and go to this unknown land that I will show you. The Torah never gives us a detail if the Torah doesn't want us to learn something from it. The Torah could have just said, Lech lecha el eretz asher arecha. Go forth to a place that I'm going to show you. But God understands that making a choice, that hearing a call, is difficult. Go forth from your land. And not just from your land, but really from your birthplace, from your hometown, right? Everybody who you know. And yes, it's not just from everyone you know, it's from your closest relations. Sometimes the calls that we hear take us in directions that we wouldn't understand otherwise, taking us from a strange land into a stranger future. Now, what's the payoff here? Anyone who feels like they have answered a call understands that there's something rewarding in that. Avram didn't know what would come of his leaving everything. But he had enough trust, enough faith in God to know that some good would come out to the other side. Now, Lily, I don't know if you felt similarly when you finally wrapped your head around this idea of you were going to have to become a bat mitzvah, and that might put you out of your comfort zone. That might choose you to learn things, to do things, to be things that you didn't know that you could do. And we hope, of course, that in about an hour, you're going to feel really incredible about the journey that you've taken. And so it is for all of us. What are the journeys you have taken? Where are the places you have said yes, when you knew it was hard, but you knew it was the right thing? Take that faith, take that journey, and bring it with you into this world as we celebrate Lily and her journey, and really all of our journeys this Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom. Lily, you're about to lead us in the chanting of Torah. It's one of the most sacred acts that a person can do. And so we're so excited, so we're so thrilled to call you and your parents forward to behind our plexiglass bima as we begin our Torah service.
ויהי בנשוא אהרון ויאמר משה קומה אדוני ויפוצו אויביך וינוסו משנאיך מפניך כי מציון תצא תורה כי מציון תצא
As we prepare to pass the Torah down the generations, I ask the congregation to rise. Lily, as you look out into this community, see your grandparents in front of you or on Zoom. See your family that received Torah before you. Take a look at your parents. They passed this Torah on to your brother Jordan, and they will pass it again to your 2 younger brothers. But tonight, they pass this tradition to you. This ancient document full of riddles and wisdom is now yours. Yours to pass on, yours to keep, to hold fast. And for that blessing of reaching this moment, we say, Shehechianu.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh. בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה, ועמיד נעשה לכל לראש.
And as the Torah is unwrapped, we can all be seated.
Good job, Connor and Sawyer. You guys get to go back to your seats.
Reading from Torah is not a spectator sport. It is one that requires participation from all corners. Whether you are on Zoom or you are here in the Kahal in this community. I ask if you are called for an aliyah l'Torah, if you're being called for an aliyah, please stand at your seats and say the blessings. I know you're so used to chanting them. Me too. You're going to hear me mess up. But please, we're going to say the blessings out loud. For the first aliyah, Ya'amdu Dobat Tzvi bat Avraham v'Bina Natan Tzvi ben Yisrael Yosef v'Mindel Leyaser bat Natan Tzvi v'Dobat Tzviya v'Chana Batya bat Natan Tzvi v'Dobat Tzviya Doreen Kingston, Norman Kingston, Laura Kingston, Anna Shigemitsu la'aliyah harishona.
Baruch Adonai Hamorach Leolam Va'ed.
Amen.
Amen. Lily, we're ready for your first aliyah.
Vayomer Adonai el Avram lech lecha me'artzecha umimoladetecha umibeit aviha el haaretz asher arecha ve'eta legoy gadol va'avarecha vad gadla shemeha ve'yeh beracha va'avaha mevarehecha umakelelcha aor v'nivrehu vecha kol mishpachot ha'adama.
Blessing after.
Amen. For the second aliyah, Ya'amdu Chanaleah bat Kalman v'Giti, Yaakov ben Lebo v'Leah, Katriel ben Yaakov v'Chanaleah, Amana bat Nikud v'Rachel, Kalman bat Yaakov v'Chanaleah, Vidov bat Kalman, Lingar, Jeffgar, Corey Gar, Courtney Gar, Chad Gar, Carrie Gar, Harrison Gar, La'aliyah Shniya.
I'll just remind you that we have to keep our masks on at all times, even when we're saying the blessing or speaking. That's exactly when we should have them on, so forgive me for having to remind everybody. Please rise.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayelech Avram, Ka'asher Diber, Elaf Adonai, Vayelech Ito, Lot Ve'Avram, Ben Hamei Shanim, Ve'Shivim Shana, Betzeto Meharan, Vayikach Avram, Et Sreshto, Ve'lo Ben Ahiv, Ve'Kol Rehusham, Asher Rahashu, Ve'Hanefesh, Asher Asu. Beharan, Vayetu Lalehet, Artsa Kanaan, Vayavo Artsa Kanaan, Vayavo Avram, Ba'aretz Ad, Mekom Shehem Ad, Elon More, Vahaknani Az Ba'aretz.
Blessing after.
Amen.
For the third aliyah, Ya'amdu Kalmela bat Yaakov v'Chanaleah, Moshe Yaakov ben Natan Tzvi v'Dovet Tzviya, Yarden Levi ben Moshe Yaakov v'Kalmela, Cami, Jason, Jordan, Kingston for the third aliyah.
Jordan, that's you.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Come on up.
It wasn't that long ago.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu Et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Vayera Adonai El Avram, Vayomer Lizaricha Etain Et Haaretz Hazot, Vayiven Sham Mizbeach LaAdonai Chanirchei Lahav, Vayatek Misham Hahara Mikedem Leveit El Vayet Ocholo, Beit El Miyam, V'ha'ai Mikedem, Vayiven Sham Mizbeach LaAdonai, Vayikra B'Shem Adonai, Vayasa Avram, Haloch V'naso Achaneg Ba.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Natan Lanu Torah Emet V'yayei Olam Natan B'Shalchenu. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Cami and Jason, you guys can
Get to
roll the
work.
Torah now over to the Maftir, which is the concluding section of the Torah, the part that is reserved for the person of honor. Not reserved for the person of honor to chant specifically, because Lily, you are the person of honor and you've been chanting all of this Torah really beautifully, I might add. But for you to have your own aliyah, your own opportunity to come up, to be called up by your Hebrew name. Wait, not time yet. To be called up by your Hebrew name for the very first time. So what we're going to do is have you take a few steps back, all the way to the ark, so that we can actually witness this moment of her being called up to the Torah. turn around and face the congregation so we can see this moment of you actually becoming bat mitzvah at this very moment before us. Ta'amod, 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 abachura bat mitzvah. Leah mia bat Moshe Yaakov v'Kalmela, aliyah la Torah. You're going to chant the blessing and then chant your maftir.
Baruch hu Adonai hamborach.
Baruch Adonai hambrach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai hambrach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bahar banu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torto. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Ve'avraham ben Tishim, vate shashana, behi molo bezar lato. Ve'shmel beno, ben shlosh ishtre shana, behi molo et bezar lato. Be'etzem hayam hazeh, nimo Avraham, ve'shmel beno. V'chol anshe ve'to yelin bait, umikna kesef met benahar, nimo lu'ito.
Sing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah temet, v'hiyeh olam nata b'toheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen. Yasher Koach, beautiful Torah reading. So we are going to roll up the Torah now. Yes, if you can move the microphone around it, close up the Torah, and go ahead and wrap it up. And Connor and Sawyer, we need you guys again.
You're back.
Come on up and help us wrap up this Torah as we prepare for Lily to read from her Haftarah. Vezot haTorah asher sam Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael al pi Adonai biyad Moshe. Yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai, yala lai 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 lai.
As you move the Torah to the side, everyone except for Lily can be seated. Put your mask back on as Lily prepares to chant the words of Haftarah.
And these are beautiful words from Isaiah that go along with the portion Lech Lecha. And even as God called Abraham from among the nations, so will Israel be called from the utmost ends of dispersion and redeemed in love.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bahar b'nviim tovim, ve'ratza v'dibrahim hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai haboher b'Torah, uv'Moshe avdo, uv'Yisrael amo, uv'invye ha'emet v'tzedek. Lama tomar Yaakov, utdaber Yisrael, nistra darki me Adonai, u'melohai mishpati ya'avor. Halo yadata, im lo shemata, Elohei olam, Adonai, borei kitzot ha'aretz. Lo yaf velo yiga, ehen heker litzvanato. No tein laef koach, ulein onim otzma yorbe. Ve'yafo ne'erim, ve'iga'u, uvarim keshol yikashelu. Bekove Adonai, Yahaliv hoach, Ya'alu ever kon sharim. Yarutsu velo yi ga'u. Yelhu velo yi afu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Suar kol ha'olamim. Sadiq beho hadarot. Ha'el ha'ne'eman. Ha'omer ve'oseh. Hamdan amber u'makayem. Shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al hanvi'im v'yom ha'shabbat hazeh. Shana ta'alanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lahavod ol tifaret. Al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umvarchim otach yitbra simha b'fi kol haytamid le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Amen. Yasher koach. After reading Torah, after reading from Haftarah, now is your chance to share us with something in English. The words of your Dvar Torah, where you teach us about the meaning that you found in this week's Torah portion.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you all for being here with me, either in person or virtually, as I become a bat mitzvah. If you're watching online, please know your computer audio must be broken because my in-person singing voice is amazing. My Torah portion is Lech Lecha in the book of Genesis, chapters 12 through 17. My portion covers a lot of Abraham and Sarah's stories. It starts with them leaving their homeland to go to the land of Canaan. It concludes with Abraham's covenant with God and God promising Abraham and Sarah a baby boy despite them being in their 90s. One of the smaller stories in my Torah portion that stands out to me is the relationship between Abraham and his nephew Lot. Abraham and Lot go to the land of Canaan, where both prosper and become rich. However, Lot and Abraham's shepherds start fighting with each other because their flocks have grown so big that it was becoming hard to accommodate both of them. Because of all the conflicts their shepherds had, Abraham and Lot decide that it would be a smart decision to go their separate ways in order to try to keep the peace between them. Abraham gives Lot the option of where he wants to go. He tells Lot that he can either have the north or south land, that he would take the other, and they separate. Later in the portion, Lot gets involved in the war of 4 kings versus 5 kings. Lot's side loses the battle, and he is captured. When Abraham hears what happened to Lot, he immediately goes to rescue him. Abraham easily could have gone about his business and not gotten involved in Lot's war, but he doesn't do that. Abraham knows the importance of family and puts family ahead of self. He risks his own life and wealth to save Lot. For Abraham, no amount of distance between him and Lot can erase the bond and importance of family. I can't really relate right now to the distance issue, as I've been trapped with my family for 7 months now. Thank goodness for soccer practice. But I can relate to there not being enough space for everyone to live without conflict. At our house during lockdown, the TV remotes have been as important to us as land is to the shepherds in the Torah portion. So we have resolved our battles for TV control by my taking over the bonus room to watch Netflix, while Jordan watches on his phone and Connor and Sawyer having the downstairs TV to play their video games. Just like Lot and Abraham, we have managed to find a way to divide the land and not kill each other. I can relate to the idea that conflicts between family get put aside whenever someone needs help. We may fight a lot every single day, especially right now, but I know that my family is there for me whenever I need them, and I'm there for them. Jordan and I obviously fight the most, but he is always quick to think we have made up, even if we haven't. Whenever I want to practice my shooting, Jordan plays goalie for me. Jordan even helped me learn some of my prayers for my bat mitzvah. While I fight with Connor every once in a while, I can always count on him to stay up late with me to keep me company while I watch Netflix. Sawyer is the best, as we almost never fight. Even when we fight, my brothers are always there to defend me against the bigger common enemy, our parents. Nothing is more important and special to me than family, not even the Vampire Diaries. Family will always and forever be the most important thing in my life. When push comes to shove, they're always there for me, and I'll always be there for them. My brothers and I are very similar to Lot and Abraham in that we have an unbreakable bond and love each other despite our fights, which of course are never my fault. I think the story of Abraham coming to help Lot should apply to the whole world. The world would be a better place if everyone was able to put aside their differences when it really mattered and stand up for each other as if everyone in the world was family. Preparing to become a bat mitzvah was really hard because almost all of my training was over Zoom. I would like to thank everyone in the clergy for meeting with me over the computer every week and helping me accomplish this milestone in my life. I couldn't have done it without you, Rabbi Rosenstein and Cantor Wissett. To my brothers, Jordan, thank you for always being there for me, being the person I can tell everything to, and for being the best big brother. Connor, thank you for always staying up with me. I love going to all your games, even though you never come to mine. Sawyer, you are the funniest little brother ever. You make me laugh all the time, and I love hanging out with you. I love you guys. Dad, I love when you come to my soccer games. Even though you can sometimes be embarrassing, I still love all your bad jokes. I love that you will always try to find special time for us to do something together, like going to Six Flags or going on runs together. Mom, thank you for always supporting me in every aspect of my life. You're my most passionate soccer fan and supporter both on and off the field. I couldn't have made it through this process without you, and I certainly couldn't survive quarantine without you, as there are too many smelly boys in our house. You never fail to put a smile on my face, and I wouldn't trade all the special time we spend together for anything in the world. Grandma and Grandpa, I love you both so much. I have loved traveling with you to so many cool places. I especially loved going to Hawaii and having special time with just you guys. Grammy and Papa, even though you couldn't be here today in person, I can still feel your love for me as if you were here. I love when you come visit. I love going shopping with you, and I love playing games together and watching you get upset whenever we beat you. You are all the best grandparents ever. I love everything we do together. I'm not going to thank everyone else individually, but I hope you all know how much you mean to me. Thank you again for being here and for supporting me today. Shabbat Shalom.
Yasher Koach, Lily. This Torah that's standing right next to you is a document that's all about family. And you certainly taught us about what it is to live in community, to live in family that doesn't always get along. That much is clear from what inside the pages, so as it were, of Torah. But you taught us a way forward, and for that we are all so grateful. I'd like to invite your parents, your three brothers, forward behind the plexiglass bima as we prepare a series of blessings for you and your family.
It's Chaim hi, Lamachazikimba, V'tom Hea Meushar, Darchei Noam, V'chol Netivotah, Shalom, Hashivenu Adonai Elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Kekedem.
I don't know if we've ever fit a family of 6 behind the bima, but let's try. I'd love to be able to see you, Lily, as you are embraced by the rest of your family.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Come on. Ow. Get off my
Okay,
foot.
don't hurt each other, not yet. Okay. Lily, what a journey you've been on. It's been so incredible to watch you grow, albeit over Zoom, and to represent, as a representative of this clergy team, to see all of the ways that you've prepared and brought all of yourself into this process. The Israeli poet Zelda There's a really important poem. L'chol ish yesh shem. For every person, there is a name. Zelda teaches that we receive names from all over the place. Your parents gave you a name. Your brothers, each of them gives you a name, maybe a nickname. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't. You have a name because of the sports that you play. You have a name because of the things that you do with your friends. You have a name by the actions that you take and the actions that you don't take. Our blessing for you this Shabbat is that now, for the first time, you are in charge of your name. What will be the name that you want to be known by? A name for kindness, a name for humor, a name for being a loving sister. Whatever it is, that choice is yours. And we are so excited to support you in that journey, however it takes you. As your brothers and your parents come in for a, let's just say, a gentle hug and wrap the talit around your whole family, we'll share the words of the priestly blessing. Jason, if you want to take your talit and sort of wrap it around your whole family.
Maybe you both, Cammie, you too.
Perfect.
might be too many people.
Yeah, exactly. We'll share the most ancient words from our tradition, the priestly blessing.
Yevarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha.
May God bless you and protect you.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka.
May God always smile upon you and be gracious to you.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'yasem lecha shalom.
May God always look favorably upon you and your whole family and grant you, amidst all of whatever turmoil you might feel in any given moment, may you always know at its core is that special blessing of peace. We say together, Amen.
Amen.
Brothers, I'd like to invite you to go back to your seats as your parents get ready to share blessings with Lily.
This is the tale of two Lilies. I'll call one PC Lily and the other Lily 2.0. PC Lily, or pre-COVID Lily, was a sweet, quiet, mellow girl. She was easygoing, quiet, not overly opinionated. She tended to avoid conflict, and on the rare occasions she got upset, she would go off quietly to her room until she was calm again. PC Lily would go to bed at a normal time and would easily wake up in time to meet her school carpool at 7:45 in the mornings. Well, just like the days of in-person school, soccer games, and bat mitzvahs with all of her loved ones and friends present in person, pre-COVID Lily is long gone. In the very long 7 months that she has been trapped in her house with her brothers, her dad, and me, Lily has undergone numerous transformations. Since the lockdown, or what she might call a prison sentence, Lily 2.0 has now grown several inches taller than me, a fact that she likes to remind me of on an almost daily basis by calling me Shorty. Thank God I have heels on today. Lily 2.0 now likes to stay up late to watch a lot of Netflix, often the same series over and over and over again. So the mornings are now an absolute joy, which are often require us turning on the lights, pulling off her blanket and sheets, waiting to make sure she physically gets out of bed. When that doesn't happen, and it usually doesn't, we have to bring in the big guns, threatening to have, or actually having, Jordan come into her room and jump onto her bed. So more mornings than not, within 10 seconds of waking up, Lily begins her day by screaming at Jordan to get out of her room, which of course he does not do until after she has screamed at least a dozen times. Gone are the days when she would sulk quietly alone in her room. Now Lily has found her voice towards all of us and her fists towards Jordan. While we only used to see her get physical and give as hard as she got on the soccer field, Lilly 2.0 now seems to be using her life at home to prepare to become a WWE wrestler or MMA fighter. There are moments when I mourn the loss of pre-COVID Lilly, like when I hear her verbally or physically fighting with, or as she likes to call it, defending herself from her brothers, well, again, usually Jordan, or when we so often disagree about what clothes she can or should wear. Her looks of disgust and disdain when I would ask her if she liked this dress or that shoe for her bat mitzvah today will be forever burned inside my brain, probably because I saw it a million times as we ordered and returned options for her for today's service. The good news is that the fights we have had in public at a department store were now done in the privacy of our own home, for only us and neighbors within a 2-mile radius to hear. Despite the fights and drama, Lilly, I love that you are finding your identity and a voice that you aren't afraid to use. I see in you now a young woman who is fearless, persistent, and unapologetically courageous in your convictions. You are smart, inquisitive, and ambitious, and can achieve any goal you set your mind to. You are an honest, compassionate, and loyal friend, teammate, sister, and daughter. You take accountability for both your good and bad actions. You are quick to stand up for your rights and what you believe is right, but are equally as quick to admit when you are wrong. You are humbled by your failures and humble with your successes. You are becoming a strong, independent, and self-confident female warrior. As a mother, I could not ask for anything more in a daughter, or from a daughter. Not good. May you never waver in the strength of your character. May you always have faith in yourself enough to be who you are, to say what you feel, to do what you believe is right, and to remember that those who mind those things in you don't matter, and those who matter won't mind. May you always know how proud of you I am and how much I love you.
Shabbat Shalom. The good news for everyone is that I received the memo, so this will be short and my jokes will be rated G. I'm unbelievably proud of you, Lilly. I hope your bat mitzvah has taught you a lot about yourself and some things about Judaism too. I'm not one to get preachy, but one of the tenets of Judaism is that the Jewish people must move forward despite hardships they may encounter. A common theme throughout the Torah as well as more modern history is that Jews have had to endure in order to keep both their identities and their religion alive. You hear stories about Jewish families conducting Passover Seders while in hiding from the Nazis, and Jewish children coming of age and still having bar and bat mitzvahs during pogroms and inquisitions. Lilly, given the choice to postpone your bat mitzvah so you could have the party you dreamed of with all your friends and family in attendance, you actively decided that no, you would endure, that you would move forward, and that you were going to have your bat mitzvah as scheduled and roll with the punches. We are so incredibly proud of your decision and the young woman you're becoming. While COVID has prevented a lot of what you desired, no virus can take away all the hard work you've done this past year and the incredible job you did today. Unlike some of your school classes, bat mitzvah training wasn't easier for you over Zoom. I know it was a painful process at times, but you put your head down and you mastered your Torah and Haftorah anyways. You endured, and now you're a stronger person for it today. The lockdowns and social distancing will be temporary. The beautiful, articulate, funny, loving, and amazing person you've become is permanent. Please remember that when we're trapped at home tomorrow with your brothers. Nothing can ever take that from you. While unfortunately we can't have the party we all envisioned tonight, that doesn't change the love and pride everyone has in their hearts and feels towards you. It enhances it. Seeing you become a bat mitzvah with such grace and maturity during a difficult time and watching you endure despite COVID throwing a monkey wrench in your plans is so much more impressive than having a boring traditional bat mitzvah. 30 years from now, it'll be a blip on the radar and will be a funny story for you to tell your kids when they complain about having to study Hebrew. You can say things like, when I was a kid, Life was so hard that pandemic lockdowns prevented me from walking barefoot in the snow uphill both ways to Hebrew school. On a personal level, I'm bummed we aren't having the big DJ party tonight, as I was planning on making you dance with me to a cheesy 1980s song by Warrant called Heaven. It's a song I've made you listen to countless times in the car, solely because the line, "I don't need to be the king of the world, as long as I'm the hero of this little girl," summarizes how I felt the last 13 years about you. The good news is that I'm confident there will be a vaccine before your wedding, and I'll get to embarrass you during a father-daughter dance then. I love you so much.
So full of blessings. We want to send you back to your seat with a couple of more gifts that you can find underneath the lectern. You don't have to open them now, but I'll tell you what's in there. There is, inside the box, is a Kiddush cup, a gift from the women of Temple Judea and the Temple Judea Brotherhood. There's a tradition that you should fill your Kiddush cup with as much joy so that it overflows and spills out onto the table around. And we hope that you find so many moments in your life, whether it's from Shabbat to Shabbat or life cycle moments like this, that your cup really runs over with joy. Secondly, inside the envelope, there are 3 certificates. The first is to signify that a tree has been planted in your name in the state of Israel. I'm not exactly sure where it is. They probably won't tell you, but in case you wanted to find it, there is also a $250 gift certificate towards a trip to Israel through the National Federation of Temple Youth, the Reformed Jewish Youth Group. Sometime you're in high school. That'll get you to about Salt Lake City, and the rest is up to somebody else. And finally, on behalf of the clergy and staff here at Temple Judea, really just to signify all of the work that you put in and this part of your journey you are on thus far, there's a certificate of Bat Mitzvah signed by all of us. It's got your Hebrew name. We know you're going to frame it right next to like the best soccer trophies you have, but really it's a token of our deep love for you. And you can take that all back to your seats with a happy and hearty Mazel Tov.
Simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov, simen tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, simen tov. Yehelanu, 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 ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, ulecho Yisrael.
Lily, I know you just sat down, but we're going to ask you and everyone else to please rise as we turn in our prayer books to page 586 for Aleinu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגוי הרצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
On page 598, we'll find the words for Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. And it's at this moment that we'd like to call to mind all those members of this family who are here in spirit, whose memories resound within our hearts, whose lessons in their life taught us who we are. We feel them in this moment, and as we call them to mind, during this time, they are present with us. Minnie and Irving Kingston, Bernice and Abraham Borsty, Lillian and Louis Gar, Shirley and Clarence Jacobson, Zichronam Livracha, may each of their memories be a blessing for us. We recite these words together. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, be'alma divrach irutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chaye chon uvyom echon, uvchaye dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitba'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu Laila min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata ta'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shamaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav u'ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who brings peace from the heavens send peace down to all of us and grant comfort, especially to those who are bereaved. We say together, Amen. It's our tradition that you can be seated if you would like. You can put your sidurim down if you would like. It is our tradition that we end our services, especially during these fall and winter months, with Havdalah, the service of separation between the holiness of Shabbat, because only a person becoming bar bat mitzvah feels this sense of holiness, but then we must make a separation, because we can't see what kind of person you are if we stay in this moment always. We can't see how you will take these lessons to heart unless we find a time of chol, of separation.
Rabbi, I feel like we need a few more symbols so that we have enough for each of the family members to
Seriously.
hold. There's only 3, so you'll have to fight over who gets to hold the Kiddush cup, which is going to be first.
Connor and Sawyer,
Lily
why
gets
don't
to
you take
choose.
the Kiddush cup? Raise that Kiddush cup up high.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen borei peri hagafen.
You can put the Kiddush cup down, and we'll raise the spice box.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei minei v'samim borei minei v'samim.
We'll put the spice box down and we will carefully raise the flames so that we can all see the braided candle.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei meorei ha'esh borei meorei ha'esh.
Now you'll keep holding the candle, and someone else is going to pick up the Kiddush cup as we make one more blessing before extinguishing the flame in the wine.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam.
Go ahead and extinguish the flame.
Amav המבדיל בין קודש לחול, המבדיל בין קודש לחול, המבדיל בין קודש לחול, חטאותינו ימחול, זרענו וכספנו ירבה כחול, וככוכבים בלילה. שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi. Bimhera veyamenu yavo eleinu. Mashiach ben David, Mashiach ben David, Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hagiladi.
With the words of Eliyahu Hanavi invoking a better world, a brighter world, we know that you, Lily, are going to go out into this world this week, this month, this year, and every year, and make this world a little bit brighter because of you and your choices. We're so proud of you. We're so excited for you. Shavua Tov. And one more Mazel Tov from this community.
Mazel Tov, Mazel Tov. And thank you again to our music director, Tali Tadmor, who always makes our services so much more beautiful.
Be well, be safe.